Hey everybody, a lot of you may not know, but we upgraded from a 2016 Forest River Vibe travel trailer to a 2016 Coachman Chaparral 360 IBL fifth wheel about 6 months ago now. And we purchased the Vibe in around, I guess, July or August of 2016, so we didn't have it but for about 6 months. Yeah, the transaction, we lost some money when we traded it in. However, I wanted to make a video to kind of show and explain to you what we liked about the Vibe and what we didn't like about it, because I was asked recently on a forum what we thought about this trailer. So I figured it'd be a good idea to make a video just to kind of help some people who might be interested in buying a travel trailer, decide on what they want initially versus doing what we did and potentially losing some money having to upgrade, right after getting one that you just bought. So the Vibe that we had was the 2016 Forest River Vibe 308 BHS, which stands for bunkhouse. And we purchased this specific model because of the floor plan. At the time, we didn't get a fifth wheel because, as you can see here, the truck that I had, though you probably can't tell from the picture, but it has a 4-inch lift in the back, and we were afraid that a fifth wheel probably wouldn't fit over the bed of the truck without modifying the suspension on the fifth wheel. So we opted for a travel trailer, and we spent a significant amount of time actually looking at floor plans. We opted for this particular floor plan because it provided us with what we thought would be a perfect interior for our family. So the kitchen area is directly across from the couch buffet area, and the problem with this floor plan was that it just wasn't a great floor plan for a family. We at first liked it because we thought it would give us that separate bunkhouse in the back, which would be ideal for our daughter. But the living room area was the part that really was disappointing to us. And here's a picture actually when we first picked up the unit, before the TV and everything was installed in it. And what we didn't like about this particular floor plan was the fact that it put your couch and your dinette area side by side as opposed to giving you more of a living room area. So what ended up happening was when you'd have people inside the trailer, you would have, let's say, 3 or 4 people that could sit at the dinette area, then only maybe 1 or 2 that could fit on that small couch. And it felt like you were talking, side by side to somebody. Imagine if you and your family are in a restaurant and you're sitting at one of those really long tables and everyone sits on one side of the table and you're not, going around the table. That's kind of how it felt. Not only that, when we purchased this unit, it had only a single AC system. And having a single AC might be fine if you live up in the north, but the sales rep had made it very, very clear to us that a single AC would be fine for us given the insulation and all the improvements they've made to the design of these trailers. That was so far from the truth. That's probably one of my biggest single regrets, is that we didn't opt for 2 AC units. But even then, South Texas heat is pretty intense on anything, and even 2 AC units I don't think would have adequately cooled the unit during the hottest parts of the summer. One of the reasons for that is because when they put the second AC unit on, they actually put it on the very front of the unit above the master bedroom area, and the main AC unit, which is ducted through the coach, is in the midpoint there that you can see on the trailer, which means you still have a significant amount of real estate inside of the trailer that's just not getting a lot of air. And the amount of heat that actually gets into the trailer from the outside doesn't really, overwhelms the AC system, and you really don't get a extremely comfortable situation in there. With 1 AC in South Texas, we were lucky if we could get the coach down to 85 degrees during the day. And at nighttime, the unit could freeze you out. I mean, you could get if you had that thing running, you could get the inside down to 60 degrees if you wanted. But the minute the sun came up and it was hitting the sides and the top of this coach, you would really feel it, and it would get really hot inside. So one thing that I did to try to combat that, as you can see in this picture, is I added reflective tint to the actual trailer. I put all the windows, I applied it to all the windows. It was the most reflective tint I could find with the highest rating for insulation or highest rating for blocking UV rays and everything else. I think it was 99% UV blockage, and the reflectiveness gave it almost that aluminum foil or that astrofoil type of setup. And yeah, the windows definitely stayed a lot cooler. When the sun would hit them before, you could barely touch the glass without feeling like you were burning yourself. But after applying the film, the windows were pretty much either warm or lightly, or sorry, I wouldn't want to say cool, but I would say not hot to the touch. And you could tell that that was helping, but it didn't help much. Even after I did that, as well as bought astrofoil and sealed up every possible gap, plus took a few other measures with the duct work and positioning better vents, I could still maybe get the AC to cool the unit down to 83 degrees as opposed to 85 degrees when it was hot outside. And that was just, quite frankly, it was miserable. Secondly, when you only run one AC, especially in these newer units, the problem is they're extremely loud. So even with one AC running, or the single AC that we had running, the noise inside of the RV when the AC unit was running was extremely loud, and you had to talk over it. And, I know that 83, 85 degrees is bearable temperature for some, but when you've just got done unhitching the RV, getting everything set up, connecting all your connections to your power and your sewer and everything else, and you're hot and sweaty, and then you go into the RV, you just don't cool down, and that's kind of the problem. So what I'd always have to find myself doing is I'd go into the clubhouse at the RV parks and take a shower or whatever, to try to cool down, and then go to the RV just to find out that everyone in the RV was pretty miserable because it was hot. A couple of the nice features, though, of this trailer is the fact that it had two entrances. It had an entrance for the for the back unit that went straight into the bathroom, and then it had a front main entrance, as you can see here in the picture. It also had a rear kitchen in the back that gave me a refrigerator, a swing-around barbecue grill, a sink, which was real nice, and I definitely miss that because our current fifth wheel doesn't have that feature. I know some of them do, but generally when you get the rear living room set up on fifth wheels, you lose the outside kitchen just because there's not the space to put it there. So that's definitely something I miss. I also missed this little My RV setup that came with the Vibe, which was basically a 7-inch Android tablet that you could unplug or undock from the station here, and you could carry it outside and wirelessly retract your slides, your landing gear, your levelers. You could even put your awning out and adjust your lighting. It was actually a really nice feature that, for the life of me, I don't understand why they didn't put it on our Coachman, or why all modern RVs don't have this feature. It doesn't seem like it's a terribly expensive feature, but it definitely adds a lot of convenience and safety when you're setting up. And here's the outside kitchen area. I can tell you we loved this. This was great to have the refrigerator out there and have your beer and your sodas in there, and then have a sink out there, especially if you do fishing and you want to clean the fish off or you want to get things prepped. That outside sink actually had a second gray tank just for it. So when you're using that, if you have fish guts, if you have anything else, or blood or whatever that goes in there, it's not mixing in with the main gray tank from the water from your shower and sink and the inside sink inside. So that was really nice as well. And that's, again, another feature I wish that our Coachman currently had, which it doesn't. So we still had the Vibe when we bought our F450, and it was actually pretty nice to tow behind the F450 because we would actually drive through an area where we'd get about a 30-mile-an-hour crosswind, and the F250 we had, you would still get a little bit of sway, even though we had the equalizer 1,200-pound setup on our hitch, and it was set up really well. With that type of crosswind, you could definitely feel it. On the 450, I'd be surprised if we had a 40-mile crosswind and you could feel it. It was definitely a more stable towing platform. And of course, once we moved to the F450, it opened up our options to get a fifth wheel, primarily because the back of the truck sits lower and it's in a better position to hitch directly up without having to worry about the height of the pin box of the fifth wheel and the bed of the truck when we had our F250. And here's a quick picture of what our equalizer setup looked like on our travel trailer. Again, we used the 1,200-pound bars, had it set up so the bars were perfectly parallel to the trailer itself. You got to be careful when you guys go and buy travel trailers because the dealers really don't set up your hitches properly. When we got our original hitch, they sold us on this Fastway E2 hitch, which quite frankly did very little. It was set up completely wrong. It was actually set up very dangerously, the way that they had everything positioned on it. So I sold that hitch and upgraded to the equalizer 4-point connection hitch, which was a phenomenal upgrade. It definitely improved things. I even bought the little polyurethane bushings that go under the bars to prevent them from grinding and squeaking, because I think that's a big concern that a lot of people had when they use this hitch. But highly recommend the 4-point sway control hitch from Equalizer. It's definitely what I feel the best hitch on the market. So when we traded in our travel trailer for our fifth wheel, here's the picture of the two side by side. It took a lot longer than I had thought to transfer everything over from the travel trailer to the fifth wheel. It was probably a 2-hour process. So, if you're going to make that type of transition again, you want to have some time to do so. By the time we were ready to leave, we got there at about 10 o'clock in the morning, and we were ready to leave at about 5 p.m. that night, right when the dealership was going to start closing. So it really takes some time, so definitely plan for it. So here was actually our PDI, or our pre-delivery inspection, when we walked through. I took several pictures of it, but this was the kitchen area with the island and the refrigerator, and I'm standing in the living room area of the unit right now. And then here's the living room area with the 42-inch TV, entertainment center below it, and the fireplace is below that. One of the nicest features of this particular RV is the fact that it has dual recliners as well as a full sofa, and that full sofa actually can fold out into a king-size bed. So that gave us a lot more living area, which is definitely more comfortable setup. And I'll show you a picture here in a second of when I mean comfortable, what the living room area looks like, especially when you're set up at night. We actually picked up the fifth wheel and took it straight to the house where we loaded it up and took it straight camping. I mean, pretty much from the dealership to the house to an RV park. And we were excited to use it. This is actually in Kingsville, where we stayed for this particular time, Kingsville, Texas, which is adjacent to the King Ranch. And it was a great experience. It was such a better experience than staying in the travel trailer. And with the increased insulation, the better composite materials used in this trailer, had the Astrofoil already through the roof and the underbelly. I believe it's an R44 or something insulation in the ceiling. This particular trailer with just one AC unit running at, in 95 degree weather outside, can cool the unit down to about 65 degrees. So this definitely is better set up for South Texas weather. And here's a picture of the first night we stayed in it, where you can definitely see that cozy feeling that we're talking about, where, you get the fireplace running. It has tons of LED lights throughout it, and they're all the warm white color, so they don't have that real intense white or blue color that some LEDs have. It's definitely a much more, I guess, homey feeling when you're staying in this particular coach. And quite frankly, it's, we should have just got this in the first place, because after staying one night in this particular unit, we absolutely would never go back to the floor plan like the other unit that we had with the travel trailer. Here's a better picture of the interior after we moved into it, and we kind of had everything set up with some of the kids' toys on the island, and just like I said, it's a much warmer feeling. This is the kitchen area. Here's where you can kind of see the kitchen flow into the living room area with the TV. From where I'm standing, which is kind of near the entrance, near the dining room area as well, there's a lot of room in this floor plan, especially with the adjacent slides. So it gives you a significantly larger area for entertaining and just for, relaxing. And here's a picture looking from the living room area back towards the bedroom. You can probably figure out what all this looks like just from the picture. It has the fantastic fan, which you can see the control there right in the center above the wall switches, above the thermostat, and you can see how it has the freestanding table with 4 chairs, which all have storage in them. It's just a really good setup. The color choices were also really nice, and it just turned out to be a much, much better setup than our travel trailer. And here's another picture of the living room area to kind of point out what I talk about when I say just the room that you have and how it's more conducive to family, especially if you have people over and you need more room for entertaining. So one of the modifications that I did to this trailer was I modified the bunkhouse. The bunkhouse is in the middle of this particular coach and it slides out. It actually had 2 bunks in here. You see the little space between the bottom window and the top window. There was actually another bunk that stuck out. And these bunks are a little smaller than full size, but we never really had the need for the upper bunk, so I removed it, and it opened up that room significantly, so it actually feels more like another bedroom versus just 2 small bunks crammed into a slide. And this process took me all of 30 minutes to do, and it definitely is an upgrade that if you don't need that top bunk, I would recommend that you do in a second if you get this particular RV. And then one of the first upgrades I did to the trailer were to actually replace the incandescent taillights on the trailer with LED taillights. I had actually bought these for the travel trailer, and when I sold it, I put the old taillights back on, and I put these on the Coachman. These are probably 5 times brighter, more intense than the incandescent lights, and they definitely help significantly when you're driving at night or even in fog or inclement weather. So installing LED taillights on your travel trailer or your RV, I think, is a must, and it definitely improves the safety aspect of driving your trailer at night. And here's another picture of the trailer, or the fifth wheel hooked up to the back of the F450. The whole setup is in the area of, I think I'm at about 65 feet long total with the trailer and the fifth wheel and the truck together. The trailer itself is about 40 to 41 feet long if you take into consideration it has a bike rack on the back. To wrap things up, again, the main reason we upgraded from our travel trailer to the fifth wheel was because of the interior layout of the travel trailer and the fact that the AC couldn't keep up with the heat. And like I said, I don't even think 2 ACs could have kept up with the heat down here in South Texas. With travel trailers, you really don't get a lot of quality when it comes to how the structure of the trailer is actually designed from an insulation perspective to even a component perspective. So when you get a fifth wheel, it really opens it up a lot, because then you can get into getting it equipped with not just the cooling systems, but the other systems that are necessary to help insulate from extreme heat or extreme cold. I believe our particular unit is actually rated down to 0 degrees, all the way up to 110 degrees, I believe. And mainly because of its use of astrofoil, batted insulation, foam insulation, as well as the Asdel composite sidewalls. It's a perfect fifth wheel for what we use it for. So I think we're going to have this one for quite a while, and we definitely enjoy it. If you want any more information on it, please feel free to leave a comment, and I'll try to answer any questions. Other than that, if you could, please like and subscribe. Thank you.